Hey guys, it's Ashley, your scrapping nerd, and I'm back with day 6 of Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches, Series 12, and today's sketch is by Davies, and I saw this sketch and I knew immediately what I wanted to do. So I'm using Blue Fern Studios Seaside Cottage, and I have the 8x8 paper pad as well as the journaling pack. And I mostly used scraps, which was really nice. And so I had that 12 by 12 photo, and it's the same photo that this is at our wedding. And I had made it into a 12 by 12 photo and blew it up. And so I always had in my mind, I thought it would be cool to have kind of like a picture-in-picture layout with that. I have the full one smaller up at the top and then, on top of the large 12 by 12 layout. And so when I saw Sarah's sketch, I just immediately was like, oh, that's the sketch for that idea. And so here I'm just working on that layering piece, like in her sketch in the upper left that she has. And I do apologize. I'm doing it on my glass mat, and pretty soon I will realize that will have a glare, and so I will put it on a white piece of papers to cover that pretty quickly. But so I'm using that journaling pack, and I cut down the photo just a little bit so that it fit inside this journaling card, and I'm going to distress everything on here and then add tea dye distress ink to everything as well, because the colors from the Blue Fern Studios Seaside Cottage matched really well with the photo, and I was just a little bit concerned that it might blend into the sky, so that's why I decided to do the distress ink. I always start out with, I won't need to ink it, and then I just need to realize that I pretty much put ink on all of my layouts because I just love how it looks. So I just need to accept it and start out knowing I'm going to put ink on it. But so I'm going through all the scraps, and this little scrap of paper had a lighthouse kind of in white. It's not very strong that you can see it. It's kind of what am I trying to say, like part of the background, but I really liked that. And you're gonna see I have a little bit of trouble when I try to layer the photos. For some reason I can layer embellishments like a champ, but when it comes to layering photos, it's like my mind is too linear. And so you're gonna see here that I create this square at first with all these pieces of scraps that I have, and I was like, well, I don't like this at all, and I need to stop trying to create this like square around the photo. I'm trying to layer and offset, and it just was not working. And so I keep trying. I keep going through. I'm like, oh, I'm layering. Look at me layer. And it's just all squares. No interest at all. So I'm like, okay, let's go back to working with this bottom piece. So I had cut out, you saw earlier, I had cut out that little lace piece from one of the journaling cards. And so one of the scrap papers had this seashell kind of mimicking the same thing. And so I put it on top of that lace strip. And I like how that looks. And it just added, because I still kind of want it to be beachy, of course, for the wedding album. But not too overpowering, because it is just going to be up in this left corner. And so here I finally put that white paper under that, so you don't have to deal with the glare from the glass mat. Here's where I start to get my groove with the layering. So I found this journal in the journaling pack, this journaling piece, and so I'm going to fussy cut that out. And of course I distress and ink that as well. And then that's kind of adding those little tag parts that Sarah has in her sketch to the front. And this is where I'm like, okay, now I'm not being so square and linear, and I'm starting to like this. And so I'm just going through that journaling pack and seeing what else I can pile on there. There was a lot of big, large cards like this that I liked, but I'm like, no, I don't want to put that behind there. And then this little corner the flaps were this red color, and I liked the flaps. So I actually cut off the flaps that are meant to be folded to glue for your journals, but I liked that red color. So I cut them off. I'll distress them and ink them and add it to the top. And so here we're going. We're getting our groove. We're not being so linear of this, and it's looking really good. And so I still can't commit, so I'm just adding washi tape to hold everything together to make sure that it stays as one piece. But then if I don't like it, I can always change it. And so with the journaling pack, like the advertisement of it, or the labeling, the branding, had this lighthouse on it. So I fussy cut that out, and I really like that sitting on the left side. And I will move it further out so it's not covering so much of the photo. But I was like, okay, so now I'm good. Now I'm in the mode of things, and I can go to my adding all of my embellishments. And then these are things I'm just cutting from that journaling pack and layering on there. And this tag I liked, but I didn't like the holes. And so I'm going to kind of cut that off and alter it a little bit so that it sticks out and adds some interest to that side. And so this is coming together a lot better. And I keep sliding that lighthouse over further and further until it's not going to be on the picture at all when in the end layout. So I cut that other flap off, and I'm going to add some of that. It's red, but it's almost, because it's so distressed, it's kind of pink, and I think it plays off some of the colors in the photo. And then the Blue Fern Studios, I have these little charms from them, and so I'm going to put the anchor there. And I really like how that looks, and it just adds a nice element to it. And I wanted to mimic this journaling card, so I just traced the shape of it and cut it out of this scrap piece of paper. And I'll distress and ink it as well so it doesn't look so wonky. But that's adding that shape, adding layers without being so square. And it's just so funny. I have the hardest time with layering photos. I watch some of you wonderful peeps do it, and you just rip papers off and you just start piling it on behind the photo, and it just turns out so good. And so I got to keep working on that. But here's where I finally moved that lighthouse all the way to the left, and I really like how that looks. This is kind of that vision that I had in my mind, and I hadn't done it yet because I wasn't sure how I was going to do the photo up in the corner, and this sketch was just perfect. And so then I go through my wedding stash, of course, and I add some of these fun wedding type words, just the two of us, forever and always. And I wasn't going to put anything in the bottom right hand side like the sketch, because that's where we are, but I thought, well, this is cute. It's just some pieces, some acetate that I had, and that forever and always. And so I think that just looked really good. And I'm adding some of these acetate doilies. And so I really like how this turned out. And I thought I was going to leave without a background. I thought I was just going to do the photo as just the 12 by 12. But then I decided it needed something behind it to help make it stand out. And so you're going to see I'm going to start working towards the background. I forgot, I'm still adding embellishments to my little cluster here. I just added a heart, and then that little arrow says happy couple, but I'm going to remove that and put this happily ever after silver sticker that I have that'll kind of play off the anchor. And I think that is going to be all that I do to this little picture cluster up here. And so here's where I'm going to start working on that background I was saying. So I'm going to take the 8x8 paper pad and find 4 of them that I like. And I'm going to try to do, you're not going to see very much of it. So this is a map, but it's that same kind of pink color that I pulled into the photo cluster. And so I'm going to put those in the top left and bottom right corner, and then I'm going to do blue in the bottom left and upper right. And I'm using that white paper behind just to as a guide to what's 12 by 12, but I'm not going to glue it to that white paper because I don't want it to be too thick. And so I'm using my trusty washi tape here and just taping the pieces together so that it creates that 12 by 12 behind it. And this will help because the photo, I think I got it from Shutterfly possibly, and so it's not like a thick photo paper. It's a little bit flimsy, so this will help make that sturdy as well, and you can slide it in and out of the pages a little bit easier, especially with that photo cluster on there. It makes it a little bit heavy, so that means I need to cut down my photo just a little bit, and I only did the left and top side. I didn't want to cut anything towards where we are in the photo, and I didn't want to cut anything off the bottom. And so I liked how that looked, and I left enough space so I could distress and ink the whole layout. And where the squares come together, I ripped them and distressed them so that it wasn't such a stark square line. It kind of blended in with the distressing, and I really like how that came out. And I did it to all 4 of the sections and just distress them, and you can't really see it because it's not like it's a big border, but it was not like the stark line definitely stood out. But while I'm putting that all back together, make sure that you guys check out all the links below for Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. There's a Facebook group, there's a playlist. I mean, so much inspiration below. Make sure you check out Sarah Davies. She does amazing things, and this sketch was amazing. And then thank you to everyone that's liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit those buttons below. And if you want to be notified of my new videos, go ahead and hit the little bell thing there. But that's pretty much going to be the layout. Going to add some hearts down here. But I really, really like how this turned out. Thank you, Sarah, for the wonderful sketch, because I just wasn't sure how I was going to do this idea, and your sketch was perfect. Thanks, everyone. Bye.